Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. On this week's episode, we'll hear from Keenan about his improvisational journey, play a couple games, and learn, most importantly, how he improv'd his life. Let's hit it! Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lee Evans, and today we're joined by Keenan, the talented, hilarious improviser. Thank you so much, Keenan, for joining us on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course, of course. All right, Keenan, so you're joining us. We're going to do some improv today. We're going to talk about your life in improv, but before we do, a couple of introductory questions for you. How long have you been a member of Improv for the People?
I've been a member since around February 2018, so 4 years plus now.
Okay. Pre-pandemic, I think that's a big marker. Pre-pandemic member.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you go way back. Okay. And how long, in general, would you say, Keenan, have you been involved in like improv or kind of the improv scene?
The same amount of time.
Wow.
IFTP is definitely the genesis of my improv interest, and I've been there ever since. And yeah, it's kind of crazy thinking about it.
Okay. Fantastic. Wow. Okay. So like IFTP born and raised.
Exactly.
Wow.
Truly.
Okay. That's really awesome. So I'm excited to get into that a little bit because, you know, IFTP pre-pandemic is kind of a mystery to me. So I'm curious to hear more.
Yeah. You can fill in some of those blanks for you.
You're going to write a textbook for me today. That's what we're going to do. All right. But before we get into that, Keenan, as always, we're going to play one of my favorite games here, Three Things. But of course, as you may or may not know, we play a version of Three Things called Three Things, but it's personal. Where in this game, I list a category and it's Keenan's job to name three things within that category. But as always, we make it about our guest to the best of our ability. So these are three things. Things you can eat with your hands.
Chicken wings.
1.
Apples.
2.
Bananas.
3. These are three things. Things you see at a country club.
Golf carts.
1.
Rich people.
2.
Even richer people.
3. These are three things. Places to eat in Ohio.
Skyline Chili.
1.
The Cone, which is ice cream place. Ruth Chris, great steakhouse.
3. These are three things. Oh my gosh, I was hoping you would say Skyline Chili, and you did right off the bat. Now, unfortunately, I've never been there, but I've heard about Skyline Chili, and I think it's a bucket list item for me because I'm definitely curious.
You know what's crazy is actually they just opened up a place called the 513. An Ohio guy owns it, and he serves chili there. I recently had it. I go there to watch the Bengals games. Let's go Bengals.
Okay.
And,
Bengals fan.
It didn't quite, I wouldn't say it was a gross underestimate of what Skyline Chili is all about, but it's a good replacement if you've never had it.
Okay. It's like best we can do out here, maybe.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, good to know. Okay. And now, Keenan, can I ask, why do you think I mentioned a country club in that game there?
I think you dug a little dirt and found out that my very first job was working for Ford Bridges Country Club, which is in Mason, Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, I had to bring that up because I think country clubs are such interesting places. I haven't been to one, so everything I know is from like movies or TV shows.
Interesting. So you probably have like an inflated idea of what that is really.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think of like the movie Caddyshack or just, rich people. Like you said, you're like rich people, even richer people. And I was like, yeah, 100%. It's just like old dudes drinking iced tea, being bad at golf.
Seriously, dude. Seriously. And, I would say even richer people because you could tell like who would just like, hey, can we borrow a cart real quick? And it's like, no, we shut down for the day. Like, come on. You can help me out a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like, I'm worth a lot of money. You can give me a card.
You can clearly see in my outfit that I'm worth a lot of money.
Oh my goodness. That's ridiculous. And I bet, golf guys that's a whole different crowd. I'm not a golfer, but I have been to a driving range once.
How did that go?
I was very bad because I'm left-handed and my friend is not, so he wasn't very helpful in teaching me. He forgot I was left-handed, and then we got there, and he was like, "Oh yeah, well, we'll do our best." And that's kind of how we did.
Right.
Now, Do you golf? Are you interested in golf? Or are you just like, nope, I was on the business side, now I'm out?
So I don't golf. I want to get back into it. When I was younger, my dad was like, you should get into golf while you're young. And I was thinking like, is that really an athletic game we need to play? Like, do I have to worry about my athletic prime to play golf?
Yeah.
But now I just see it as like, it sounds pretty great, honestly. If you just like hit your friends up to play golf and spending all day outside, maybe you're drinking a little, who knows what you're doing, but it's just a nice time outside, I think. So eventually I'll try to get back into it. Seems a little expensive, to be honest with you. Just all the equipment you need and stuff, but never say never.
Never say never. There you go. All right. If you were on the golf course right now, Keenan, what would you be drinking?
See, you got to pace yourself, right? So you don't go, I wouldn't go cocktail. Like we're talking drinking.
Yeah. Not water.
Probably Miller Lite.
Okay.
Shout out to our sponsor, Miller Lite.
Miller Lite. Yeah. Shout out. Best light beer.
There is taste.
Yeah.
Really is what gets me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Miller Lite. And I think that's a smart move playing the long game. We know golf is a long game, 18 holes.
You don't want to be blacking out by like hole 5.
That's irresponsible.
Right.
Very. Someone's got to drive the cart. You know?
Somebody. Yeah.
See, I think it seems like we might both be excellent golfers if we actually did golf, because we know we got some strategies.
Get the vibe.
Yeah, I think between the two of us, and I'm sure like you have a ton of knowledge. So you're like, if I just wanted to, you'd be
if I tried.
Yeah, exactly. I think I kind of get to, like you said, you're like, I'm young. Why am I going to get into golf?
Right.
Like, seems like an older man's game, because you're like, I want to move around and run. Like,
seems like big business deals could be done on golf courses.
Yeah, that's every movie, right? They're like, yeah, I'm going to take him out to the golf course and we're going to trade secrets. I don't know. Yeah, bring my briefcase. 100%. Okay, well, thank you for sharing a little bit on your background. All right, so Ohio.
Part Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, Ohio. There you go. So you said you're a Bengals fan. Ooh, I'm Joe Burrow, man. That guy can
He's
play.
legit. He's legit.
Yeah, best 3 wide receivers, I feel like, in the NFL right now.
Okay. Yeah. NFL fan? You root for somebody?
Unfortunately, a Chargers fan.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
San Diego, born and raised. So.
Oh, cool.
It's it's been painful, you know.
Yeah, I imagine, was that a tough transition to LA?
Yeah, I felt pretty conflicted about it.
Yeah.
But, I also transitioned to LA, so it's kind of like, well, I can be mad at them, but I did the same thing.
Right, you understand.
Yeah, I'm just not worth $2 billion, so.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. We're
this
working
podcast
on it.
is going places.
Money's in podcasts. Everybody knows that. That's why people start them. No. All right, Keenan. Well, thank you for chatting with me, playing 3 things. I want to go ahead and jump into our interview, get talking about some improv, because that's why we're here, right? This is Improv for the podcast. I mean, I would love to talk football and learn more about your experience in Ohio, but we got some improvs to chat about.
Oh, yeah.
So let's jump in. All right. So, Keenan, what I want you to tell me is the very first time you learned what improv was. Like maybe the first time you heard the word, you saw it happen. When was that?
What's so interesting in thinking about improv is that I feel like I've seen pop culture's reaction to improv before I ever saw improv. So the first time I was exposed to it was probably watching The Office and seeing Michael Scott go to his improv class. Always loved Whose Line Is It Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But I couldn't tell you that that's improv right there. I just knew I loved the show.
Yeah, I was like, that's funny what they're doing up there.
Right. But I don't know. It seems kind of, I'm not going to say at the start of IFTP, like that's the first time I heard improv, but not far from the start of IFTP, really.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
college a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like that's a big time.
But I wasn't aware of my college's improv scene, really. Okay. I don't even know if we had an improv scene. I remember this one girl who was on the comedy team.
The comedy team. Yeah, that seems very vague.
Right.
Yeah.
They had to be doing improv, I imagine. But yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm a member of the comedy team. That name is really funny to me. I don't know. It's just like they're like, yeah, we do comedy. Not sure what specifically, but generally funny stuff.
General comedy for the most part.
Yeah. You just try out with knock knock jokes. It's pretty sweet. I might form a comedy team. I love how
Not a troupe, a comedy team.
Yeah, just a team. Yeah, see, this is our jerseys for the comedy team. Yeah, see, I'm number 11. It's pretty cool. It's got my last name on the back. Actually, never mind. That's such a tangent. But okay. So prior to joining IFTP, were you interested, or had you done any like stage performing, any sort of like plays, acting, things like that? Or it's just not really your interest?
So growing up, I was always in love with comedy and always in love with creating. It just improv just wasn't the medium that I found myself using. And no, it wasn't. What's so funny about it is that in high school, those would be the kids that I would laugh at, for lack of a better phrase. Yeah. But that's the truth, you know.
So you laugh at me. That's what you're saying. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe you would change my mind and show me how cool it is. But I would look at that and say like, oh, I'm not doing that. Even though like kind of secretly, I knew I wanted to be involved in just creating, period. Mostly film, but plays have always interested me. But I've never been in a play.
Wow. Okay.
But I would be in one. Just didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like being creative and using your like creative skills has always been a part of like your life, and just in a lot of different areas, whatever you were up to.
Absolutely. Writing was always my main thing. Writing from when I was young. I distinctly remember being 3 years old and saying I wanted to be an artist.
Wow.
So I always felt a bond with that. And I feel like, you know, just doing improv has been my outlet as of late.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. Wow, and yeah, as a kid too, 3 years old. I mean, a lot of 3-year-olds say they want to be like Batman or something. So that's like you're like, this is a realistic goal.
No ambition followed it. I remember having the thought.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. What do you like to write?
Good question. I get asked when I tell people like I like to write, they're like, oh, what genre? And that's always has made me malfunction in some way, because I could never, to me, I just wanted to be honest about what I was writing.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, it was definitely like short stories, and then went through a rap phase and poetry phase. And I think post grad, it's been more into screenplays actually, and novels, honestly.
That's awesome. Ton of different mediums then.
Right. The medium never really mattered to me.
Yeah. Just as long as you're writing something, generating something.
Right.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I think I've dabbled in a lot of similar things, like never one thing consistently.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of all over the place. But it's the joy in and of itself, just creating that thing, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. When I was in high school, we wrote a rap poem about Benito Mussolini for our project.
Wow.
And I think my teacher was like, okay. It was for a presentation. I think we did well, but the class was a little confused because my friend brought in like a cajon, to give us a beat. And then my other friend played some on a guitar. Like it was a whole, I don't know how we did that. It's been all downhill since then.
Where did the confusion lie? Were the lyrics on point?
I think so. I still have it. I saved it in a Google Doc, and I still have it in my Google Drive like all these years later, because that was like 12 plus years ago. So yikes. But I think it was just like everyone else, was just like, here's some slides. And then, we had fun with it.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. I'll have to look for that. But do you have maybe a couple of projects or one or two projects of something that you've written in your mind that stand out or that are favorites of yours?
Yeah. One that really made me feel like I could have confidence in myself as a writer was this essay in school that we wrote senior year in English class, basically regarding whether we thought people were inherently good or not. And I felt so compelled by like such a big existential question. And I remember getting a 98 on the paper and just felt so confident. And I really, Mr. Herbert, shout out to you, Bishop Fenwick High School. He told me my writing was poetic in a way. And that just gave me so much confidence and just, I
mean, it stayed with you. You
sure.
still remember that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Another piece that I was proud of. Around the same time, totally different medium, but I basically wrote a rap song for this girl, hook and verses.
Hey, there you go. Wow,
And
a full track. Yeah.
And it was the first time I felt like, wow, this actually expresses how I'm feeling. I got that right, which up to that point, and still now, in a way, I trust my feelings. It's just how good is my tool at capturing it, you know? Kind of like having if you're in front of like a mountain view, you don't want to have a camera that's bad because you feel like, oh man, I can't really capture what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling in this moment.
It's not accurate.
Right.
Yeah, and you're going to look back and be like,
That wasn't
not
it.
how it went.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I ask, how'd the rap go? How'd it go over?
So, not the way I wanted. Not ideal.
Sorry to hear that.
She barely reacted to it.
What?
And that's like she was nice about it.
Yeah.
She was cordial. It wasn't like this is trash. This is awful. But maybe I would have liked that more, to have like a heightened reaction as opposed to like what felt like to me was apathetic.
flat,
Yeah. So good memories.
Oh man, that's tough. What if she stole your lyrics and then she went into the studio like the next week and she was like, I'm putting this on SoundCloud, I'm about to blow up.
She would owe me a lot of money because what I wrote was gold.
I believe it. Her loss.
Her loss for sure.
Yeah. Let's name her right now. No, just kidding. That'd be terrible.
Would she see it? Probably not.
Probably not.
Let's not.
I was like, no. I was like, I can't toot my own horn here. No, we're not there yet. But yeah, definitely. Well, I still think that's really cool that you wrote that. It's awesome. All right. So throughout your life, creativity and that skill set you've had has played a major influence. And it sounds like writing has been a huge part of that as well. So what led you to coming to IFTP? How did you find it? What was like, you know what? I'm going to go do improv. That's where I want to be. Right.
So I basically got a job right outside of college and was working there for about a year. My mom always said, if it takes a year to realize you don't like a job. I don't necessarily know if I vouch for that now.
I disagree, but okay.
So I did my time. I did my year, and I was like, okay, I know I don't necessarily want to do this. And what do I really want to do? I want to take a plunge at the creative field, just doing more of that in my life. And I was in Ohio at the time, and I always wanted to be in California. And just to me, it was just like a picture what California was, and I just always wanted to go there. And I had a few friends that were moving to Los Angeles at the time, both pursuing more like music industry stuff.
Got it.
So that made it easier to move to Los Angeles. And it was really hard at first, like being in a new city and trying to ingratiate ourselves and finding our own communities. And I remember considering acting class. Do I want to do that? Not necessarily. And my roommate at the time we came to the idea of doing improv at the same time. I think, honestly, I'm not sure what spurred that initial thing that we told ourselves that we wanted to do, join an improv class. It may have been thinking that we could make money as actors and being in commercials. And one of the things they tell you about being a good commercial actor is improv.
Yes, sir.
So I think that was part of that decision. And I remember him being like, okay, I'm going to do UCB. And I was going to do the same. And I think it was really just a scheduling thing.
Yeah.
And he drove Uber at the time, and he picked up a passenger that belonged to IFTP. She apparently was like, yeah, you should check out Improv for the People. He told me, signed up for a class, and ever since then, it's been hooked.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So just through Ubering, like this random lady.
Just so random.
Shout out. Yeah.
She could have said any studio too.
Yeah.
And maybe I would have worked my way back to IFTP, but who knows?
Somehow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of amazing. So did you move to LA then, like 2018, around then?
2018, actually 2017.
2017.
So I've been out here for 5 years now.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay. Wow. Okay, so you decided, you're like, improv class. Boom, I'm going to go to this place that the Uber lady suggested, IFTP. So you roll up, you show up for that first class. Tell me about your first class at IFTP. Who was your teacher?
My teacher was Ava.
Ava.
Fantastic teacher. My very first class.
Shout out Ava. Future
Shout out Ava.
Guest on the show.
My first show was with Ava, and for some reason, I think she stopped teaching, but then came back. That was kind of a cool full circle.
Yeah.
I remember being really, I guess I don't know if I felt really nervous that first class, but the first class went well, and it felt really natural. And I'd say that not at all to brag at all. It felt like, even though we mentioned before, like improv or getting up on stage wasn't necessarily a medium I dabbled in when I was younger, being in the improv class felt like, oh, this is what we did as kids, just truly playing and being free.
Oh man, I love what you just said right there. Yeah. Being kids, right? I think play is something like that idea of like play. I think it's so lost. So just hearing you say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, Keenan, yes. Because that's like, I think philosophically for me, as I've gotten older, I'm very old and very wise, as you can tell.
Just emanating from you.
Yeah. It's often
Your aura.
Often
amazing.
annoyed by how wise I am.
I could tell.
From my perspective. I think that sense of play is so important and is lost on so many people. They just forget how to do that as we get older, because we learn about responsibilities and how life really is. So I think just hearing you say that upon your first time coming to class, you were like, hey, yeah, I'm just coming in here and being like a kid and playing. Like that's huge. That's mind blowing to me because I think that's something I continue to always try and keep in my heart and my mind of like, how can I incorporate a sense of play into everything I do?
Right, because I was thinking like, why do we stop playing? And you'd mentioned responsibilities, but responsibilities don't have to be mutually exclusive from play, and I hate that we kind of operate that way.
Yeah. So Keenan, do you have a thought? Why do you think we stop playing? What do you think that is? That sense of play that we lose as we get older?
Partially because the responsibility thing, I think. Partially because how often do we allow ourselves just to be silly and like think what you're doing when you're playing? It's just, I think you're just allowing that kind of freedom to like flow through you and just be careless, I guess I would say, in a way, and just kind of let go.
Do you think it comes from fear of judgment as well from others?
Absolutely. Yeah. Fear of judgment is just killer, man.
Yeah, it shuts down everything.
I think fear of judgment makes us less kid-like, I would say.
Yeah, because kids are so carefree. They just, like, especially, like young kids, they just go about and do whatever, say whatever.
Right, and just wear whatever and just operate how they want to operate, They don't
have the same concerns.
No.
Okay. Wow. Oh, yes. I love that we already got to touch on that. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So you come into IFTP, your first class with Ava, and it goes well. And I don't think you're tooting your own horn at all there. I think sometimes there's, for some people, like they come in, and this is a space they've, like always were meant to be in. They just didn't know it until they got there, right?
Right.
Sometimes it just clicks. Some people, it just takes a little more work to get there.
Yeah. And I think people surprise themselves as well once they actually just dive in and kind of like amaze themselves. And I kind of like people on their first class because you let go of, they don't even know some of the rules to even think about that would make them more hesitant in a scene to think that, oh, am I fulfilling am I fulfilling relationships or match status or match tone, all those things.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost simpler in a way because it's like, I don't know what I can't do. I don't know what I should do.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like there's kind of a chaos to it. I feel like. Which I love. Yeah, definitely having been in a few beginner classes, you see some really cool moments in those.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like seeing people come out there, they're doing such wacky stuff, and you're just like, yeah, get it, like get out there, seize it.
Right.
Yeah, that's really cool. So after your first class, you were like, okay, I think I found something here, and you obviously, I'm guessing you continued taking classes.
I did.
All right. So you're taking classes, and did you find yourself like each week? Do you feel like you're like, okay, I'm learning stuff and kind of seeing like how I'm improving and getting better at this?
So, yes, I also could easily see how much I needed to grow, and those early days, seeing like a a seasoned improviser. Maybe they dropped in on a class, maybe I watched a show or whatever it was. I was like, wow, okay, there's a lot of levels to this, and there's a lot of depth here to go into. And I remember for the longest time, like, man, why am I in this rut? Especially after the first class and feeling like, especially when things go well, you're like, oh, well, they're supposed to go well. This is how it's always going to go.
You're like, well, this is great.
Which is not the case.
I'm great. This is great. Here we go.
Here we go. But it just doesn't go that way. But I loved it too. It was always fun. Yeah. And I think that's what, when Matt asked us after scenes what we think, I always say it's fun because it always is. So I always had that keeping me going.
I would definitely say, on your point mentioning that, like, one thing I've always appreciated about IFTP is I think it definitely in every class, you know, kind of that moment to check in after you do something, like, okay, I kind of shared a little, how did you feel about it? And getting that kind of reflection from the participants in the scene as well, which, again, not going to name names, but at some other places around this town, that does not happen. And that moment for reflection, I think, can be huge in like an improviser's growth, you know, because you need to be able to analyze your own performance, your own scene, your own choices, and see like, oh, I could have done this differently, or, oh, next time I want to try this.
Right.
So I think that goes a long way in helping, you know, you can help yourself grow too. You don't always have to rely on another person giving you feedback constantly.
Absolutely. And analyzing, but making sure that doesn't manifest into overthinking.
Yeah.
Because you can analyze all day, you know, still you go up there and you have to do it. Right.
I definitely can sometimes get in the overthinking train, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm awful. Like,
same, big time.
It's like one off scene, you know, and then you're like, I should probably leave. Like, this is my improv class career has ended. It feels like that sometimes, you know, high highs, and I know for me sometimes low lows, not necessarily so.
Yeah.
That's literally all me, you know. Nobody in class is like, you suck.
Not at all.
You should get out.
Well, they did that one time, right?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. In my first class, they were like, we will pay you to leave. That's what they told me.
Right. I heard that.
Yeah. Actually. And I said, no, I'm staying, buddy. And and now they just put me in here, I think, to remove me from the classes. They gave me a podcast. And
smart of them.
I know. Brilliant. Honestly.
Really?
Brilliant. Yeah, that's definitely all true. Okay. All right. So I want to get into that a little bit, because I think you mentioned, right, how your first class, you're like, wow, it went well. I feel like I did well. I'm always going to do that well. How do you think that first time you maybe faced adversity within improv, or like in a class where you know, maybe a scene didn't go how you hoped, and kind of how did you respond, or how did that make you feel?
Yeah, I remember the first time sort of classes of different levels were mixed, just because numbers happened to be short that day.
Yeah.
And being so nervous and feeling so insecure about watching what at the time were like the medium level improvers go up. And I remember that whole class thinking, it was the first time I felt like, oh God, I'm like fretting the time that I'm going to go up or be called up or whatever it was. And I hated feeling that way.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I kind of just like plunged ahead. And I think really there's nothing I could say about like eradicating that feeling. It's just like kind of knowing it's there and acknowledging it and continuing to go anyway. And I felt like I just learned to continue to show up, because it just felt confident that just keep going, it'll kind of resolve itself.
Yeah. That spirit of almost resilience. You're like, yeah, I'm a little nervous about this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then continuing to make that choice, I think, is, you know, that's tremendous.
Right. And then those same people, at least one of them, like years later, was like, oh, I thought I was afraid of you. I think it's so funny, like this game we play of like we're both nervous. And it's just like, what am I doing? And they probably think the same thing. Like, what am I doing to make you nervous? Right. And I remember being so nervous the first time I had a class with Matt. I remember thinking like, oh God, I really hope he thinks I'm funny. I really want him to think I'm funny, because it felt like, because he's
I felt that too. I remember I was like, oh gosh.
Seriously.
Yeah. And how did that go? Did he think you were funny?
Yes. Close call.
Good.
But he did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. It's hard to say.
do you ever ask somebody, do you think I'm funny?
Yeah. Yeah.
But as if they laugh at what you say.
Yeah. You can't really go up to people and be like, hey, you think I'm funny, right? You think I'm funny, especially like you're an improv teacher. I think that's going to be an interesting conversation. But yeah.
I feel like as soon as you ask that, are they going to say, it seems like they're less likely to say yes now.
100%. They're going to be like, oh, actually, I think too, I can relate to that feeling of like coming into the first class with Matt, and it's like, oh, this guy's really awesome and like charismatic, energetic, and so quick. Like, do you think he'll think that I'm good or that I'm funny? Like, I hope he does. Sure. Like, definitely that need for approval, especially from Matt, just because you're like, this guy's so dang cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy really knows improv. You can tell.
Yeah. The knowledge, the care, the discipline is there. You're like, oh man, this is a learned man. Yeah.
Learned.
Yeah. A learned, handsome, bald man. I know he'd love for me to say that. So what was the timeline look like? So you started with Ava's class. When was the first time you had Matt's class? Was it maybe just a couple months, a year?
Yeah, so I started in Ava's class. That was like February of 2018. And then IFTP moved actually to where they are now on Pico.
Shout out to Pico.
Best time in Pico's life.
There you go.
Changed it forever.
Yep.
And so that was like around June 2018. So it was just a few months in. So I felt I still feel new to improv really. But 4 months in, I felt extra new.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, because you're like, wow, now, I've been doing this for a little while, but we just moved to a new place. I'm going to have a different teacher. Like that, it almost feels like a reset in some ways.
Yeah, a lot of changes. A lot of changes.
So when was the first time you did a show at IFTP?
That was August of that year.
Wow. So August 2018. So you started February for a show in August. So about 6 months. Nice.
First show. And I was in the very first short form scene of that show. I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Yeah.
And it's Shelly and I. You know
I
Shelly?
know Shelly. Yeah. Future guest of the show.
Nice.
I was going to say that about everyone. They're either a past guest or a future guest, pretty much.
Right. She and I were doing a scene. It was like the newscast scene.
Yeah.
It's like a little show.
Yeah.
Like you bring on a guest. So lights up. Shelly starts talking. And she's going and she's doing the whole thing. And I'm following along. So nervous, so scared. Never been in an improv show. Okay. I realized I haven't been talking like for about 45 seconds. And at that time, I didn't read her cue to like I didn't know her as an improviser. So I didn't know like her little look was like, that's your entrance.
Yeah.
And so she did the little look and then kept going because I didn't fill in. And so I look to my left and I see Matt. Where he like stands during shows and he makes his face. He's like, say something. Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit. Can you curse on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck. Like everybody knows now that I haven't spoken.
Yeah.
But luckily I was able to flip it into like, you haven't been letting me talk this whole time, or whatever I said.
Yeah, you used it.
And used it. And it got a big laugh, and I was like, oh, okay, what a relief. Because I thought like my first show, my first scene was going to end in disaster.
Yeah. But I think that right there shows like an ability, you were like, well, this is how the scene has gone so far. I can use what's already happened to help inform the scene going forward, right? Which is exactly that. You're like, hey, I haven't talked much. You've been talking over me. And that's, the audience is going to be like, oh, they're going to lose their minds. Their socks are falling off. Like, just everything.
I love that improv adage where they say the audience sees everything, and they do. Yeah. So when you use it, it kind of brings relief, but also something to be cognizant of as well, where, you better use it because they see it. Yeah. And it's hard to hide things from them when you're on that stage.
Yeah. And I think, just realize, probably the least aware person in an improv show is the people doing the show. Right. So the audience is like
100%.
I got the best view right now.
Right.
They didn't notice that, or they didn't call that out. Right. Someone said something weird and nobody said anything about it. They're going to pick up on all those little tiny cues and misfires. That's a really good point you said there. I think that's so true. And the audience just loves when, you as the performer call out the same thing they're thinking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because they'll be like, yeah, it is weird they said it, whatever.
It's almost relief for them too.
Yeah.
It's like a laugh of relief. Like,
Yeah.
what if they never pointed that out?
Yeah. Because everybody loves a moment where you can relate over a shared observation.
Right.
Yeah, we all love that moment.
Right.
It's like, that person was acting weird. And connecting with someone over that is just, that's fantastic every time. So I think
Absolutely.
that's just what's happening with the audience there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Wow. So I can imagine that is pretty intimidating. I'm not gonna lie. Your first improv show, you're in the first short form game, and it's with Shelly, who is someone who I think is incredible. She's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And definitely the first time I saw her in a show, and then I saw her, and then down the line I was in a show with her. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, Shelly, you're like way better than me. So
right. And I was kind of just watching her go, like even being in the scene with her. I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing.
Like, man, I get the best seats right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I definitely can agree. I think I've had a short form or a scene in there with Shelly, and I've had a similar experience of like, wow, this is awesome. Oh, I'm here
I have
too.
to contribute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Shelly needs a scene partner.
Right.
Yeah. She's incredible. She's incredible. But so are you. So let's get back to Keenan. Yeah. Enough about Shelly. We'll have her on in the future.
Shelly gets enough love. All right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. So I really love that experience, and just how you remember that detail too. Like, I don't know if I have such a good memory of improv shows I've been in, like literally even one from like a month ago, I'd be like, yeah, there was, we did some scenes. Yes. And like, so I'm impressed by that. And after that moment, after you had that first show, you're like, okay, I've done one show, I've gotten it under that belt. Did that change how you felt overall about improv? Did that give you confidence?
Yes, and overconfidence, because I felt like getting like those big laughs and getting like that instant gratification. It, again, similar to the first class, but even more so because it was just a show. I felt that, it's going to be like this every time. Like, watch out, Eddie Murphy. Like, I know what he was on, and I'm on the same thing.
I got this. I'm the chosen one. Like,
right. And the second show comes, and it's not like that at all. It's not bad, but it's not, I don't know. And this is actually something I wanted to ask you. Like, do you often use laughs as a barometer for how well you did in a show?
100%. And I think that's something, I want to be better about, because, well, one, like a laugh or no laugh doesn't always, some people just don't laugh, but they still enjoy something.
Right.
And I think in the moment in particular, you really shouldn't get too caught up on that, because that can take away or distract from the scene, because, that's when you go for a cheap one-liner, or you like sell out your partner because you're like, I need this. And so I think it's a fine line to toe, but it's something I struggle with.
Oh yeah. Same, because I feel like we always say we're not, as you said, like we're not going after the jokes or not necessarily trying to be funny, because I think that's gets the results that you mentioned where it's not really good for the overall team or the overall product really. But it's also easy to be like, okay, the audience was really quiet, or even in class, like they didn't seem to be reacting to that. What am I doing wrong maybe? Yeah.
And I think the way I think about that is actually Liam, who's on episode 2, he had a quote, or he told me, he once learned, like, don't make jokes, make sense. And that stuck with me, for the month since we did that interview. And I've, want to find opportunities to apply that. Because I think, even in class too, like I can get that similar feeling. And then, if the room is silent, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've committed an atrocity.
Right.
And I made them watch it.
Right.
But it's, even in the moment you get caught up in those wrong things. So I definitely want to focus on that. Like, don't make jokes, make sense.
Right.
Find the truth, observe what's there, take in the information, and the rest will come.
Right. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. Cause I think sometimes, when you are worried about the wrong things, you get in your own way in your scenes.
Oh yeah. And that's also what I took after the first show as well, going actually after the second show, because I realized how selfish I was being and how much I had focused on my own performance and how funny was I. And that's just such a waste to improv, because it's really about your scene partner. It's about other people really, and like serving them and making them look good and setting them up, and not necessarily. I just remember being so down after like the second show or like the next few shows, because it was like, man, I did this well, but I wanted to be funnier here. I wanted to be better there, and we all do that and probably still will do that.
Yeah.
But now I've learned, how was the show overall? Did we all have fun? Did we all enjoy each other? Were we connected?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much more of a group thing, I think, than people realize. And I think, like you said, it's ultimately not about like my laughs per minute, whatever. Like, it's about like, how did I serve the scene? How did I serve my scene partner?
Did I listen?
Yeah. At its essence, it is supposed to be like you're serving the scene. You're serving your partner. That's what it is. And that really gets lost, because every single human likes to think they're the funny one. Like, we all enjoy that feeling, of course. But I think improv at its core, you're very much correct on that. Like, it's, how am I contributing overall, to the greater picture here, the greater scene, the greater show, on a like a micro scale and a macro scale.
It's really a medium that you give yourself to, and you should give yourself fully to it.
Yeah. I just thought in my head, and I think the reason why I thought of it like this, I just went to a Dodgers game. So I thought, I was like, improv is, it's kind of like baseball, because, well, one, like baseball, it has, the regular season is crazy long, right? It's 162 games. And I think like improv, you can kind of think of it in a similar way, because you're going to do so much improv if this is something you're actively pursuing and actively interested in your life, that like, you're not going to be hitting grand slams out of the park every game, right? You're going to have some games where you're like, hey, I got someone out, I threw a good ball here or there, but I wasn't the star of the show. But my effort, my choices still made an impact on the overall result, which is hopefully a victory. And the same goes in baseball, like, it's not like someone's going out there and, hitting home runs every single game. That definitely doesn't happen,
No.
But it's like, at the end of the day, were you a team player that contributed overall? Because improv is a team sport.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm taking that.
We can try and like equate improv to a bunch of other sports too.
I was thinking when you were saying that, could it apply to basketball?
Yeah, I think
football?
So too. Yeah, with basketball, it's like, man, I have the ball, but maybe I'm not the best person to have the ball right now. Maybe someone's like, I got Steph Curry out there. I want to pass it to him so he can take that three. Right. Instead of me being in the paint and only getting 2 points. Like,
right.
See, every sport.
Every sport, it's analogous.
Maybe I just need the assist, not the points get credited for that. Yeah, we could just, we're going to go hockey. We're going to get real deep. We're going to get into like synchronized swimming. Yeah, we're going to talk about every sport. But I love that you mentioned that, and I think it's really important to keep in mind, and always a good way to anchor yourself. This is about the scene. This is about the show overall. What I can do in this moment to benefit them.
Right.
Yeah, and that's like, you got it right there. That's all you need. If you remember that and hold true to that, it's going to take you far in improv.
Yeah. How long have you been doing it? Do you mind if I don't mean to flip the interview?
No, not at all. Welcome to Improv for the podcast. Today, our host is Keenan with guest me. It's a long time. I think I started doing improv like consistently as early as middle school and high school. But it's different when you're a kid. It's a lot sillier, and it's more short form games and things like that. Like I've always been doing like drama and theater basically my whole life. So I got serious about improv in college. And that's where a lot of people, just because you have opportunities for that. So college and then post-grad. And so, I don't know, put a number on it, a while. That's what I'd say, a while. And I've tried to do the tour of LA, go to all the different schools and learn the different philosophies and all that. Which, there's a lot of different opinions out there. That's what I'll say. But I found IFTB to be the place for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I felt the most at home here. The most like successful in my own growth. Because I'm not like, it's not like you show up here, you do it our way, or you suck and you leave.
Not at all. Not at all.
Which is, I think this is the one place where it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. And
why.
also I would say accepting of different sort of philosophies. If you look at the teachers, it's not like drastically different, but they all have their own nuances, I would say.
Yeah.
And being in a specific teacher's class at IFTP is being in its own class.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Cause it's like, you're not going to come into someone's class and be like, everything you're doing is wrong. Get out. You do it my way. Or nobody's going to do that to you here. And it's kind of like you get to learn these different techniques and guidelines and kind of shape your own improv philosophy based off of that. And, and you can, because of that, you're still able to work with everyone here. You can show up to a show and play with someone like Shelly, who you've never worked with before, but it's still going to work.
Right.
Because we all know what improv is.
Yeah.
We all, generally, know the basic guidelines to follow within that.
Right.
Yeah. And then the rest, I think, is just, what do I need to help me be successful in this scene and to help, my scene partner be successful? That's the part where it's different for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So, I've been doing improv 100 years. That's no. But I think a while, it's not like I've been going like every week for my whole life, though. College, you get busy with stuff and.
Right. Well, just listening to the podcast you did with Liam and thinking about your experience, I often think now, like in hindsight, about my time in college and in high school, and what if I did do improv at that time?
Yeah.
But I still think like maybe I wasn't mature enough because I still would be worried about, at least the friends I had, I would be worried about being funny in that kind of way. Yeah. And I wasn't like mature enough to be open in that way that I ask improv to do for me. It's to just force me to be open and honest.
Yeah. And I think that's, like you said, mature enough is a really good way to put it. Because I think everyone, it reaches a point in life, where when you're still a kid, you still find that play in different ways. You joke around with your friends, you're going to school, you're hanging out with them, you're joking and playing about the whole day probably while you're at school. And I think there's a shift between, like going from high school to college and then graduating, and that you have an innate desire to get back to that sense of play, I think, and people find it in different ways. And like for people like us, it's improv. For other people, I'm not sure what it is, but
who knows?
We have this. So I think, to your point, that's a really good way to view it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, not mature enough. I really like that. Okay. So I want to ask, so we know kind of about your time here at IFTP, right? You started in 2018. You've been grinding, working, improving your skills. What, during your time here, what impact do you think you've had, what you've learned at IFTP, doing improv, performing, taking these classes? Has it had an impact into your life outside of IFTP, outside of improv?
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
you can be as general or specific as you want.
Right. I'm glad you said that because for me, it's...
Tell me your job, how much you get paid, like how improv affected you today in a conversation with your boss.
It's such an abstract thing for me. I think when people who haven't done improv ask me about it, they're like, oh, well, you're quick on your feet, aren't you? And it's like,
it's stuff like, you tell funny jokes in meetings.
Right. You're witty.
Yeah.
You're quick. But it's not really... That's such a surface level way to look at it, especially how I think of it. For me, it's been just trusting in how I present myself. And I remember one of the teachers, Benjamin, one exercise we were doing, I forget what it was exactly, but he said, and then you're going to say your line and then we're all going to support you. And then that just really clicked with me. It's like, oh yeah, this is what makes this space so special and so sacred, is that I will be supported. And I just... truly the concept of yes and, not literally, but literally somebody, metaphorically somebody saying, yes, I hear you, and how valuable that is. And that's just built up a lot of trust within myself, and just trust in, hey, this is me, this is how I'm going to present myself. And, I may not be accepted by you in the real world, but the gift was in the expression and not necessarily the reception of said expression. And it's just been so beautiful in that way. Just really trust is what I come back to.
Wow. I think that's huge. And that moment you mentioned in Benjamin's class, Benjamin, a future guest of the show, that idea of like, whatever you're going to say, will support you. And I love exercises where we do something like that, because I think that's a big like warm up exercise, just to get everybody feeling comfortable. You have, scenes where it's like, okay, we're going to try and do a rhyme. And even if the rhyme sucks, like we're still going to clap for you, or we're still going to laugh, whatever. And that builds, like you said, the sense of trust and this confidence in yourself and presenting oneself, because you're like, hey, like I'm going to trust that whatever I say it's going to be all right.
Right. And that's such an interesting thing, like back to like watching newbies kind of go up and that hesitation that you see within them. And when I see that, I always want to be like, you don't even realize how safe you are here and how accepted you will be. You can only realize that when you experience it and do it and actually take the leap and see that there is a net there or somebody to catch you.
Once you have that perspective.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think, most people I imagine come in, and none of us want to be bad.
Right.
You come in and you're like, well, I'm at improv class, time to be funny. So I better just make some wacky choices.
Put my funny boots on.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you bring yours tonight? Or?
Oh, they're on.
All right. Oh, I see them down there. Those are nice. Those are nice funny boots.
All leather.
Wow.
Sorry,
okay.
PETA.
Well, hopefully the cows were funny too. I think that's awesome. But yeah, because at the end of the day, once you have that skill down, that skill of like, I feel comfortable, I can present myself and do this, the safety net isn't necessary. You have that innately, and you can take it with you in any space, in any place you go.
Right.
I think, like you said, bringing up work in particular, like it can be a place where you're like, I got to feel comfortable presenting myself. Maybe you have to give a presentation, or you have a meeting, or just talking to customers or clients or whatever. Like having that can be so important and be such a boost in what you do in so many areas of life.
And thinking what else, I think of a moment actually at work where recently there was like a big brouhaha about subordinates talking to their bosses, and like we kind of got together as a collective and like kind of voiced our concerns. And I remember one of my peers being like, so, we usually have the several people that talk in meetings, or the people that usually talk more than the others. Yes. And she was like, well, I kind of want to hear how the chorus of everybody else feels, which I am a part of for sure, and which I acknowledged. And I told her that even though I may not be the most vocal in meetings or the most vocal in these situations, I am listening and I am supporting you in that way. And I feel like through improv, I was just really able to convey that I really do hear you, and here's how I'm moving the conversation forward, which is something we do all the time in improv. And I felt like, I could listen before I did improv or understand where people are coming from. But I think because improv is such a great tool for empathy, it felt a lot easier to access that, to share that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, just saying like, hey, no, I'm listening, I'm paying attention, I'm taking in everything that's happening. Like, that's active listening, it's a difference of like, I'm here. No, I'm here and I am taking it all in.
Right. Imagine if everybody talked and nobody listened.
Oh man, it is already kind of like that. And that's why we have podcasts. No. So you've been here over, I guess, like almost 5 years, right? You've been involved at IFTP. What do you think? Do you have a goal or a place you want to get to next, either with improv or a skill related to improv or something outside of improv that kind of ties back, a goal that you have for the future?
Right. Generally, I would say I just want to grow old with improv, and I want to keep getting better. I just want to keep, every time I come, I just want to keep getting better, because that's how much I love it. And I feel like I owe it to the medium to get better. I want to work on characters. I think it's easy for me to like play the straight man and still say something enough that it's interesting enough that I don't have to play characters. Yeah. But I don't want to be kind of like stuck in a box, because I think that's what improv is not. Improv is about like the infinite possibility of the moment. And I want to honor that and continue to just be more open. But I can never imagine a day I won't be like doing improv, or I won't be like enrolled in a class. Why would I stop? Honestly, it's not even like thinking about my improv career as like an athletic career. It's not like you pull a hamstring and
Yeah.
can't do improv anymore. You know,
He's on injured reserve. Like he's going to be out for the rest of the season. And then who knows about his contract?
oh man, torn his funny bone. He'll be out. We'll see him next season, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. You know, and if he makes it back on time, you know, hopefully he can perform as well as he was before the injury.
But he'll never be 100%. He won't be all the way there. But oh well.
Real shame, real talent. That's the danger of improv. Oh man,
That's what we sign up for, folks.
yeah. I gotta take a moment. I love equating. I love sports injury talk. So just like it's like anything back to that just gets me.
Well, I'm day to day right now, but
It's day to day.
taking it one day at a
Well, are
time.
you hurt or are you injured? You know,
Well,
difference.
yeah, hurt or injured.
Yeah. You know, is Keenan the guy? Is he willing to play through the pain for this next improv show we got coming up?
You know, through Keenan's absence, I think that I don't know if he's a guy that's got a lot of heart.
Yeah, he's maybe not the guy you want leading your franchise.
Let alone studio.
Let alone studio. You know, can he take you to the improv championship? I'm not sure, Phil. You know, can he be clutch in prime time? Yeah, does he have that dog in him? Oh man. All right. That's it's like we can just keep going on that sports.
I didn't think I could
commentary.
keep up with you. That's why I stopped. I knew I was not going to be able to say
I
this.
bet you could. I bet you could. I listen to a lot of sports podcasts, so that's a whole thing. So it's too much on the brain for me. All right. Well, I think you're going to have a very successful improv future.
Thank you.
I want you to know
Thank you.
that. And
Can I ask what you're aspiring to? Like after all this time, like what
Yeah.
do you have a goal in front of you that you feel like you have?
The answer to that question has changed a lot over the years. I went to college for acting. I got a degree in acting, which is both smart and dumb. But I think that's a whole other conversation. But people get degrees in things that don't end up actually mattering, and that's all I'll say on that.
True.
Because I work in tech, yet I have an acting degree. So do the math there. The degree
You're
didn't matter.
acting like you have a tech degree.
Exactly. And I've had a variety of careers in the time since I've graduated. So I've been a teacher, I worked in tech, like I've done everything. So I think at one point, I've, wanted to be like an actor. And that it's not that desire is gone. I think it's shifted. And I think part of that current vision with improv is just, continuing to improve myself. I love being an improv for the people, just the opportunity to learn, to be in shows, to create this podcast, to hear from other fantastic improvisers, because I want to know their stories. And honestly, I have the best seat with this podcast because I just get to have talented people on every week and then they tell me their secrets. It's like, don't you understand what you're doing? You're giving away the precious knowledge. Like,
My precious.
so I think for me, it's, continuing to have almost a lifelong journey with improv, because if I think about it at the end of the day, with acting, performing, anything that I've done in my life, like improv is the place I love to be the most. I think a lot of that ties to, like you said, the idea of, there's not really casting. You're the part that's created in the moment. And casting, I think for me has always been something I've had beef with, like over the course of my life, like these roles, or I'm not the right type for this role, but I want to play it. But improv, that doesn't matter.
No,
Which is part of its beauty and its brilliance, and just not losing that sense of play. And this is where I get to be to play. So, I'm probably not going to be the next Eddie Murphy, and that's okay. I'm not
sure? Not with that attitude.
That's true. I mean, maybe they'll reboot Shrek and I can find a bit part in there. But, not that I'm not open to like continuing to explore career in comedy, but I just, whatever I do in life and my day job, and if my day job never becomes improv or acting, I still want it to be around. I still want it to be a part. And I don't want improv to be something I like, be like, I'm taking improv to get a Geico commercial, like we talked about earlier.
Right.
Some people do that, and you know what? That's their choice.
Right.
But for me, it's like, no, I want to do improv because I love it. And if it helps me in other things, awesome. If it doesn't, I still get to do improv.
Right. Improv is like my Tai Chi in a way. A few weeks ago, Matt asked, like, what are the things that you just love doing?
Yeah.
And I said, dancing, playing soccer, and doing improv, because those are the three things that I feel most free. And those are the things that I do. Improv is something I do genuinely without asking anything of it in return. I just feel like I do it and I'm happy.
Yeah. And I think I'd say there are times in my life where I have wanted to ask for things in return from improv, but I think now as I've gotten older and honestly partially coming here, you know, not being at a studio that is, you know, maybe as much like, you know, there's just those places that are like, we're a pipeline to SNL or you know, whatever that is. And it's not always about that. I mean, sure, I'd love to be on SNL, Lorne Michaels, but do I have the talent though? I don't know. My sketches are very okay, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, I think that's part of it too, is like improv as a philosophy and being a constant in my life. And I think you have a very similar view on that. So I think that's a more recent development in my own life that I've come to.
Yeah.
I think part of that is just doing this podcast even. I mean, this is a 6th episode that I've sat down for, and just every week I'm like, man, this is a good thing we have here. And if there's things I can do to help bring new people to improv, to get them over to IFTP just to learn about it, or to find whatever that thing is that helps them feel free and to be themselves and to play, like if I can do that, great. You know, if I can just help.
Right. And I think one thing that IFTP does that's really conducive to the things that we're talking about is that it feels more so like a gym membership. That I know you've mentioned that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
before.
you said that. I was like, oh,
just the whole, because think about, I told you about my roommate, and our improv career started at the same time, and he stopped. He just stopped because he went, maybe I can't say because, but he went through a course, and you know, you go through the course and the course is done. And do you want to take another course? No. Yeah. But with this, it's just like, oh, am I going to do improv this month? Yeah. So you just keep doing it.
Yeah, because I think IFTP differs in that way, because I think if you want to like be competitive and go on to bigger things related to improv and comedy, you can find that here. You know, it's just depending on how driven are you. No one's going to give it to you. You have to seek that out. But if you just want to do improv because you enjoy the art, you can also come here. Like everybody has a place here. You know, it's just that you, the individual, has to have a focus in that. And I think that's something where people don't realize that. So they think, oh, well, I come here and they don't take it seriously, which I don't think is the case. You know, it's up to the discipline of the individual.
Even the people who aren't necessarily like working actors or would call themselves creatives, I really value that the people here have reverence for the craft itself. Yeah. And even, you know, no matter what your job is outside of the class or the show or whatever, when in it, I just really value everybody who just takes it seriously.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think so many people view improv as a vehicle to other things. You know, improv is my vehicle to commercials. Improv is my vehicle to SNL. Improv is my vehicle to giving a killer speech at a wedding. Yeah. But it's its own thing too, you know? Right. It was first and foremost, you know? And
I think it's much more rewarding when it's not necessarily a stepping stone, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. When you just get to stay in it and really hone it and develop it, and like that work never ends.
You can always get better. You can just always get better. Even when you feel like you're just killing it, and you just watch a great improviser go, and it's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I could kill it more than I am. Which I think I feel literally every time I watch a show. I'm like, oh, dang. Right. Gotta get back in the gym, you know? I'm like,
get back in there.
Yeah. I got to get more improv protein powder. You know, I got to get my improv pre-workout.
Like, creatine.
Yeah, all my supplements.
You're natural, though. You don't use steroids.
No,
you don't do
improv
steroids.
Growth hormone for me.
What would that be? Like written flashcards? Like I'm going to interject this joke. But that wouldn't work, though.
Just like a radio earpiece. That I can buzz in.
Well, that's relying on the other guy almost being a fantastic improviser because he's got to get it out quick.
I've got Matt Moore in my ear right now. Ooh. He's just been feeding me lines.
That's Matt's next business.
Yeah.
Sitting in a van outside, like, say this.
Oh, yeah. Just like on a date or something. Oh. Just, you know, or like any situation where you like, you know, loosen things up with humor. Oh, Matt would kill.
Do you think somebody's tried that? We've seen it in TV so many times where somebody's like on a date and the other guy's like in the van. Like,
yeah. Like in real life, though.
Have people done that and that's worked?
I feel like it's definitely possible. I mean, you know, we have, you know, with like the rise of like Bluetooth headphones, you know, like it's gotten a lot easier because you could like AirPods are really obvious, but I bet there's, smaller, like little things you can put in your ear that are like normal people like you and me can get our hands on. So I bet there's got to be like a YouTube video, so I'm like, what's up guys? Welcome to today's video. I'm going to get a job interview at Chipotle, but only saying things my friend says in my ear.
Right.
Like that video exists, and I'm going to watch it tonight.
I'm going to watch it later. I'm going
to answer yes based off no facts, just feelings. Yeah. Do you think someone has tried that in real life?
They've got to. Just the way we consume TV and like, oh, it's on TV, so we might as well try it. Yeah. It's just funny, like, what's the original idea? Did that, like, somebody putting it on TV or in a movie, did that come from like a real life event?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to think, because like someone had the idea to write that.
Right.
It's a storyline in some sitcom or whatever. Like, yeah, because art imitates life, right? That's a good question. What's the first time someone had like an earpiece to complete a task or a job or a conversation? Yeah. Because I can think of a ton of examples. Like SpongeBob, that happened, I think. Like Patrick and SpongeBob.
Classic.
Like, yeah, that's an all-timer, and a ton of other shows. So, and now I kind of want to like research that trope and get more into that. Oh man. Okay. All right. So my last improv question for you, Keenan. You are someone I would consider a highly experienced, highly skilled, highly talented improviser. You've been here, you've been at the gym, like you might be like the Arnold Schwarzenegger, of IFTP.
But that feels so silly coming from you, who's been in the gym longer. You say, little man, I'll show you what real lifting is like.
I'm going to call you the Arnold Schwarzenegger of IFTP.
Don't. Isn't that, but what other awards would you give out? What other people would you associate?
That's the only gym person I could think of was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, if I could name any bodybuilders or like power lifter people, but I can't. It's just Arnold is probably, like American Gladiator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know any of their names, but
neither do I.
I think of them as, I don't know, like Matt's an American Gladiator,
He really is.
Yeah.
Or is Matt like, it's like Dancing with the Stars?
Oh, yeah.
And Matt's like the dancer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the pro, like they just throw in random people and he's like, I got you. I've been doing this a long time. Oh, that's so true. I got you, because dancing is a partner thing. Improv is a partner.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's
amazing, folks.
Keenan just came up with the best improv analogy. From this point forward in time, no one else is allowed to come up with improv analogies. We're done.
Done.
What advice do you think you could share for beginning improviser? I joined in this example. I joined IFTP. This is my first month, October 2022. I just took my first class. It's my first time doing improv, and what do I do? Where do I go? Keenan, you've been here. Help me. What advice do you have for me?
Show up and jump in. At various points in my improv career, I felt like, what is this wall that I'm going through, and why am I not getting through it or getting over it? And then the realization was the wall wasn't even really there. I just had to keep going and keep showing up and just got to keep trusting. And it's a medium done through action and experience, and you don't really know what it is or have a feel for what it is unless you do it. And the way to do it is to jump in and let everything else like kind of fix itself while you're doing the jumping and the falling.
Medium through action and experience. Oh. Write that down, people. Write that down. I say that at least once every episode. All right, Keenan. Well, thank you for that advice. That beginning improviser who was just here, he really appreciated it. He actually got it. He got a decal in his car that said that. So
wow.
Your whole quote. It's a very large decal, but it's on his.
Makes people mad when they're driving because they can't read it.
Yeah, because they're like, slow down. Like, I wish that light had stayed red longer, so I could have finished reading that multi-paragraph decal that guy.
I got halfway through, but I didn't Can I get a TLDR?
Yeah, there you go. And the font he chose was awful. So it's some of the words.
Comic Sans?
Yeah. So
Rank your fonts right now.
rank my fonts. Oh man. Okay. I got to go Times New Roman.
Times New
it's
Roman.
Kind of a goat. Yeah.
It's kind
just
of top 2, not 2, you know?
Yeah, I can read it. It looks good. I've written a lot of MLA format papers over the years. Times New Roman. I got to say, Wingdings, I think it's just wild. Wingdings.
It's a favorite.
Yeah. Now there is a font that I like, but I can't remember the name of. But I used it for a creative project, and I downloaded it from somewhere, and it was a really cool font. I'll tell you that. Another font I liked, I don't know the name, but I used it for like a little short video I made. But it looks like donuts, some of the letters, because the video was called "Go Nuts for Donuts," so I needed like a donut based font. So that was pretty sweet. It's a video about a donut pranking someone, and then he eats the donut because the donut is sentient in the video and also Australian. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very layered video. It's like 30 seconds.
Sounds deep.
It's probably my magnum opus, honestly. It's
Makes the people think.
Yeah, it really does. And then my last font.
Okay, you're naming all these, and I'm not going to be able to name.
Okay, that's
If you ask me this, I'm going to be mad at you.
Oh, I'm going to ask you this. If you're making me think of 5 fonts, I'm going to ask you about 5.
When did I say 5? I guess the natural thing is to say top 5.
Oh,
yeah.
I just assumed top 5. Okay, well, I can stop there because I can't think of a 5th one. So this is my top 4 fonts. My Mount Rushmore, right? Because 4 faces. There you go.
All right.
So what's your Mount Rushmore of fonts?
Times New Roman's on there.
Classic.
I'm a big sans serif guy.
Sans serif. Okay, yeah, the sans fonts, the serif fonts. There you go.
What's the is it like Courier? The new
Yeah, that's like the
know what I'm
screenplay
talking about?
font.
Right.
Yeah, I associate that with Final Draft.
Yeah. Why is that just the screenplay font? Who
I
decided?
don't know. There's probably some guy who's like Tim Courier or like something like that. And he's like, I'm going to make a font and then I'm going to write a screenplay. And everyone was like, wow, this is a great screenplay. And an even better font.
We need to name this after him.
Yeah.
And do it like this, only like this.
He died right after he wrote the screenplay.
Wow.
So it's kind of in tribute to Tim Courier.
So what do I got? I got Times New Roman on there.
Yeah. Sans serif, Courier.
Is it
Give me a wacky one.
oh, is it like New Century Gothic? Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
I always
I like
want
New
that
Century
one to work, and it's just like it's just weird enough for like,
Yeah.
oh, this is not going to work. But I wanted you to work while I was previewing you,
Yeah.
but it just didn't work out.
Century Gothic's a good one too. Yeah. I'm curious to see Old Century Gothic as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where is that font?
What's that font been up to?
Oh yeah. There's new, there's old. Do we have like a modern or somewhere in between maybe?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So you've given me a Mount Rushmore. That's 4 fonts. I'm good with that list. That's a solid list right there. Serif fonts are clean. All right. Keenan, the time has come. We're gonna do some improv. So lace up those boots, buddy boy.
Lacing them up as we speak.
All right, excellent. So this first game we're playing is called My Evil Plan. And in this game, Keenan, I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions. I know what they are. You'll find out in a moment. That you have to include in your evil plan to take over the world, a la a James Bond villain. So the 3 things you need to include in your monologue are a bus stop, socks,
Okay.
and an ogre. 3 things I'm going to be looking for.
Gotcha.
Yep. All right. And then kind of when our scene is at an end, I'll black us out. All right, here we go. This is called My Evil Plan.
Well, Mr. Bond, now that I have you captured, I will go over my plan in detail, because you won't escape before I finish what my plan is. I bet you're wondering how you got here, aren't you? You're wondering why would you be in a lair like this, huh?
It's a strange place. I don't remember being brought here.
I'm sure you like how it's decorated. Say it. You like it? Say it.
Fine, I like it.
Ah, yes.
I like it, Vandersniff. I like it.
And it was your love of decorations, wasn't it? Having you walking on 87th Avenue in New York. And you wondered, what is the new Shrek movie coming out? What could that ogre be doing this time? All the Shrek movies happening? And it just happened to be on the bus stop bench. A picture familiar but different because you knew they couldn't possibly make another iteration. They didn't. I created Shrek 6, pitched it to DreamWorks. They said yes, with a fully formed screenplay. And I said, just give me some time and I'll take care of it. And they said, well, you seem so prepared that we won't even give you any notes. But we'll give you a marketing budget. And I said, yes, all of the color. And there you saw the Shrek 6 sign, and you couldn't help but stare. Because you love that series, don't you?
I love Shrek.
You love every moment of it.
It's my greatest weakness.
You secretly wish you were Donkey. You wish you were another Eddie Murphy.
Oh.
Stick to the killing bond. Anyway, we finally captured you. You didn't notice we had put glue spots on the sidewalk right where you would be standing seeing Shrek 6. You couldn't move. And you passed out. Because everything else, could move except for your legs.
Smith.
You tried to run, you tried to scream. You could scream. But it didn't mess you up. You fell. Hit your head on the sidewalk. And now here you are. Here you are. And now, every bus stop in America, from Central Park to Nebraska. Yeah, you're wondering how I said that specific state, huh?
Decent part of the country.
Yes. A large swath of the country. And everybody will look at Shrek 6 and everybody will be stuck in carefully, intricately paced glue.
No.
All sizes, all foot shapes, even Shaquille O'Neal.
Not Shaquille O'Neal. We need him.
That was a lot of glue to lay that out. But he's actually captured and in cell C as we speak. Soon everybody will be consumed by their love of Shrek. But they couldn't love it any less enough to move.
Vandersmith, your plan to exploit studios' desires for sequels and remakes is beyond dastardly, but I just have one question. After this plan to lure everyone in with the promise of Shrek 6, which, again, the poster is amazing, why did you have to take all our socks?
Well, socks are the very reason, the very bane of my existence. It represents people's need for sequels. What do they need sequels? They need comfort. They need to know that it's going to show up every single day. And what shows up every single day except for socks? Socks!
Blackout! Oh my goodness. You nailed it. Now, I did not choose Ogre. That came from a generator. I just want you to know. But I was hoping you would bring up Shrek, and you did. So I'm
good. Did I miss one? Was a bus stop, Ogre, and something else?
Socks.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I
Thank you
just
for the
asked you about
assist.
it. I was like, no, it's all good.
Wait, what was the third one? Jeez.
I was like, you've done so well with it too. Like, I'm just gonna pitch you a soft one there because I was like,
Thank
you
you.
killed it with the bus stop, which the bus stop movie posters are an amazing thing. So
they are, aren't they?
because every bus stop has old movie posters. So the fact that you organize the logistics to get new movie posters at bus stops from New York to Nebraska, that's true evil in action right
True
there.
evil, just a large part of the country.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about coming out to LA was seeing the For Your Consideration Emmy, like billboards or Oscar billboards. It was like, huh, wow, a billboard for this piece of art.
Yeah, that like really, there's only a small group of people who actually need to see that billboard.
Right.
It's like, is this the most effective use of your marketing budget?
Does that get anybody anywhere, really?
Look, there's a group of 10 old white dudes who need to see this billboard.
Wow.
And we're hoping they're going to drive down Beverly Boulevard to see these things. And if they don't, I don't think we're going to win an award this year, everyone.
Green books. Game plan.
Yeah, there you go. This next game is called Last Letter Scene. This one's going to be a more traditional game where essentially you and I were going to play a scene, and the game of this scene is that each line, the line that follows it, needs to start with the last letter of the previous line. So if you said my face, last letter is E, next line starts with an E, right? Cool. It's like a spin on the alphabet game.
Right.
But
right.
You got to listen a little more because it ain't the alphabet. All right. So our location is the jungle. Fantastic. All right. So we are in the jungle. Last letter scene. And then, same as before, I'll black us out. And here we go. Oh my gosh, Richard, thank you so much for bringing me on this jungle cruise.
Edward, calm down. Let's save some energy for the rest of the cruise. Okay, you're getting a little high right now.
Well, I am really excited to be here at the Jungle Cruise. I can't believe you planned this for my 30th birthday. A cruise through the real life jungle. This is like Jumanji in real life.
Ever since you explained to me your love of Jumanji, I was scared at first. Honestly, I was a little frightened. How much could you love a movie and subsequent board game? Or did the board game come first? Anyway, look over there.
Elephants. Oh my gosh. I can't believe you hired actors to play elephants while we're here in the jungle. I can't believe there's real people inside of that elephant costume. You are the best.
Think about it. That's Morgan Freeman right there.
Oh my gosh.
So eloquent. An eloquent elephant.
That is so true. Morgan, will commit to whatever performance, whatever role he's given. And I feel a lot safer knowing there's actors inside the animals than real animals. Because as much as I love the jungle, I also fear death.
How about that? You fear death? But you're always so adventurous. You're always so pining for the moment. How could that be true?
Richard, I love the idea of adventure, but I never want to seize it fully, putting myself at risk. So the reason I love Jumanji is because I live through the characters. So this Jumanji jungle trip cruise you've planned for me is great because we're in the jungle, but it's not quite the jungle, Just like how I went skydiving, but it was just in one of those buildings. It wasn't the real thing. So I'm adventurous when it's safe to be.
Even the time where you wanted to have sex, but we kept our clothes on.
Blackout.
Oh my God. That is a good game. I want to do that more. That's definitely one I haven't played.
Yeah, no, I haven't played it for a while. So I was like, oh, we're doing this. Oh, Gene Media. Oh man. That was key. That was clutch. Thank you for that.
For sure.
All right. We got one more game we're going to be playing today, Keenan. So for this last game, and this one's going to be a little quicker one. This game, I think is called World's Worst. So this one is going to be kind of a quick back and forth. Our job is that we are going to get a random profession, and Keenan and I, we will have to deliver lines as someone in that profession who is the worst version of that profession. We are going to be the world's worst bouncer. Man, I'm bouncing all these balls. Oh yeah, come right in. Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Hey bro, just come on in. We don't need to see nothing. Oh, he looks 12 though. Yeah, come on in.
Come on in. Hey man, let me see your ID. Nah, I'm just kidding.
We don't do that.
Picture. You're ugly.
Hell
Get in there, man.
Hell nah, bro. Are you kidding me? Hey, bro. I know you're about to start some fights in here. Get on in here, man. We need to make this place a little more rowdy. You know what I mean?
Hey man. Oh, you want me to kick him out? Nah. He looks scary. I'll just stay here. I gotta hold the door, for the ladies.
Seriously, bro. I'm a pacifist, honestly. Like, we don't need to solve that with violence. Not at all.
All right. Next up, we are going to be the world's worst gymnast. World's worst gymnast.
Oh, it's so high up on the high beam. God, I really have to go up there?
For my routine, I'll be doing 3 somersaults in a row. Thank you.
Well, those rings remind me of donuts. Maybe you could toss me a donut while I go on those rings.
I didn't realize you weren't supposed to draw with the chalk, but I think my stick figures look pretty cool.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is what it's like up here?
All right. We'll do one more. All right. World's worst stay-at-home dad.
Well, kids, you're 2 now, and that's a very precious age. And, you know, you've impressed me. I think you're advanced enough, so I'm just going to get out of here. Hit a few of the strip clubs. I hear they're popping these days.
Say, kids, want to go stay at a hotel?
Kids, did I do drugs? Yes. Did I have fun? Yes. Should you do them? I'm supposed to say no. Will you do them? I expect you to.
All right, kids. Well, I have a job. I have to go to work, so don't use the stove. See you guys in 8 hours.
Hey, kids, that's just the gas switch. You can look at this. Boop, on, boop, off, on. Fun game to busy yourselves while I'm gone.
Blackout. Oh man. That gymnast one. I was just like, I'm done. I got nothing. Like, Keenan killed it. I got to tap out here.
Tap out.
Oh man.
Call me Schwarzenegger, baby.
There you go. Nah, what are you doing? Get to the chopper.
To the chopper now.
Now. That game is hard with 2 people. It puts a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Who chose that game? Oh, me. But
Did you come up with that game? You know about that game?
I know about that game.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, I came up with the villain one. I was just like, Bond villain speech.
Right.
Yeah. And then you mentioned characters earlier, and I was like, oh, you're going to play a character tonight?
I'm doing characters.
And you did. You were great.
You know, I think I always worry about the voice. Like, is this voice accurate to what I'm doing?
Yeah.
But it just kind of, like everything in improv, just kind of let go.
Sure. Like, should I be sounding like this right now?
Right.
I don't know.
And then one of the last shows, it's like, I forget his name, but an improviser at IFTP, his British accent was not good, but the audience loved it.
Oh, yeah.
So it didn't really matter at all.
And I think that's one of my favorite things is when people have bad British accents, but then they commit to them so hard and they're like, blah, 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 biscuits. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this is bad. It's bad good, you know?
Right.
Bad good. All right. Well, Keenan, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Improv for the podcast. You have been an incredible guest. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your stories, your experience. Thank you for playing. Any last words you want to leave us with before we sign off?
Thank you. And I'll be listening to the other podcasts because I'm so interested. I could hear people talk about improv all day and could talk about it all day as you could, in which you are doing. So just
definitely
thank you for giving me the opportunity, and long live improv.
Long live improv. Well said, Keenan. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Improv for the Podcast. As always, if you enjoy the show, please feel free to leave us a review or follow us on Spotify. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, Keenan. We'll see you next week. Bye. Improv for the Podcast was created by Matt Moore and Michael Lee Evans. Edited and produced by Michael Lee Evans. And finally, presented by Improv for the People. Interested in more IFTP? You can visit us at improvforthepeople.com or on our socials, such as Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember, new episodes are released weekly. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.